Hello, staff, coming at you here on this Monday, May 11th with a staff update. It's going to be probably a fairly long one. Got quite a bit of things I need to talk to you about. I want to start off, though, by saying Happy Mother's Day to all of you that are mothers. And if you're not a mother, hopefully you said that to your mother or the mothers in your life. So happy Mother's Day to you. I know this particular situation, that's in my estimate, in my talking with you guys, the people that are really having a hard time with this situation are those of you who have kids at home, not just mothers, but fathers also, but trying to be a parent, especially to smaller children, and keep this remote learning situation going has been really challenging. And I just want to acknowledge that as we go past Mother's Day and approach Father's Day, that's been really challenging, and I appreciate all the hard work you've put in during this time. I know there's a lot of jokes going around out there about teachers having time off, and I think in some ways this has been much harder on all of us trying to work this way. All right, so with that said, just going to move right into grade improvement update. So this is what we've been waiting for, is the update on how is PowerSchool going to handle the grade improvement situation. Sometime later this week, we're anticipating maybe as early as tomorrow, but sometime later this week, PowerSchool is going to be updated at the state level. T4 will remain in place. T6 will go away, and T5 will have its date extended through June 8th. So basically, you're going to end up with 2 grading periods in PowerSchool. T4 will be what's already happened. Remember, anything you change in T4, if you've given students the opportunity to go back and improve things in T4, which you're encouraged to continue to do if you like, those have to be relayed to Ms. Bunn because those grades have already been stored, and so changing them on your end won't change them in the Master PowerSchool. You'll need to get Ms. Bunn to change those also. But anything that you've put in T5 and T6 we think is going to migrate into the new single longer T5. With that said, Ms. Bunn advises you to back up your grades, save your grades. Anything that you've already put in T5 or T6, save those grades so that you can, so that you will make sure they're there when the migration happens, just in case they get lost. We think they're going to move over, even T6, because they're grade driven. We think they'll fall into the new longer T5, but just to be careful, please back those grades up. So what you'll end up with is what is going to look in PowerSchool is going to be called C19. That'll be the new F grade, the new final grade for students in PowerSchool. So everything from T4 will be average 50% with everything in the new elongated T5, and that'll create C19, which is the new final grade. Remember, students have the option of taking T4 if it is a higher grade than what will end up in that C19. So once we get to the end of the semester, you, the teacher, will be responsible for doing a grade override and putting back in the T4 grade. So if you've got a student who had a 61 and has not done anything during the new T5, their grade's obviously going to drop drastically. You'll have to go back in and put that 61 in as their C19 grade. You'll have to override the lower grade with the higher grade from T4. Obviously, if what they do during the new T5 improves their grade, then you won't need to do that. That grade will stand. And then at some point in time, students will get the choice between the numerical grade or a pass, obviously withdrawal if they're failing. We'll talk more about that. I don't know if that's going to be the teacher's responsibility or somebody else's to do that. But as we get closer to the end of the semester, we'll relay that out to you. Okay, so T4 is going to stay. It's 50%. T5 is going to be extended. T6 disappears. Everything in there is going to be 50%. The two will be averaged together to make C19 their final grade. At the end of the semester, you will decide whether to put the T4 grade in, the one that stood, or leave the new C19 averaged grade in there. And that will be their C19 grade, which they'll get then the choice of the numeric or the pass or withdrawal code, depending on if they're passing. All right, so that's the new system. You can start talking to that about your students, but don't put anything else in PowerSchool until Ms. Bunn gives you the clearance. Some of you have gone ahead and started putting grades in. It's fine, no big deal. We think they're going to migrate. But just in case we lose grades during this migration, just hold off. Ms. Bunn will send you an email and she will tell you that PowerSchool is now set up and ready for grades. Then you can go in and start dumping grades in. Couple things to remember. From March 13th to April 20th, students were openly told all of that was optional work. So be really lenient about counting grades during that time frame in the new elongated T5. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying if it helps the student fine, if it doesn't, be careful about that. If they didn't do much work between March 11th and April 20th and then all of a sudden started working, you may want to go back and do some exemptions of some of that stuff because students were openly being told this is optional, this is optional. On April 20th, we made the big announcement that everything was going to be required from then on as part of the grade improvement system. So just think about that as you're putting these grades in and figuring these grades. Remember what the State Board of Education has said and what our Board of Education is now saying. Students should win in this situation, not lose. So I'm not saying a kid who was already failing and then does nothing is going to pass. That student's not. But every chance we can to give kids the benefit of the doubt, we're really supposed to be doing that in this system. So just keep that in mind as you're working this system. All right, so I'm going through here, making sure I covered everything. One thing Ms. Bunn said is Canvas is not syncing real well with PowerSchool right now. So make sure that you're not depending on Canvas to sync with PowerSchool. Make sure you're checking that because if it's not syncing well, you need to be thinking about how to do some hand grading there. All right. Another thing that has come up is I've had teachers ask me, are we going to have exams? The answer to that is we're not having formal exams, obviously. If a PLC or a teachers in a singleton class decides that one of the grades in the new elongated T5 is going to be some sort of final assignment, whether you're calling it a final exam, final project, that's fine, but it's just going to be part of T5. It's not going to be its own grade. You shouldn't be telling kids it's going to count 25%, that kind of thing, because you can't really do that in this grading system. But you certainly can give an assignment at the end that's a final assignment that counts, more than, say, your average grade and average it in there if that's what you want to do. I do ask that if you're a PLC, that if one teacher does it, everybody in the PLC does it. Okay? I'm not saying it has to necessarily be the exact same test if each teacher's isn't comfortable with what you've covered and you want to make your own test. But we shouldn't have one teacher in Math 2 giving a final exam and everybody else in Math 2 isn't. That's not fair to the kids. So if you ask my opinion, I don't think it's necessary, but I also don't want to just tell you no if you feel like that's something you want to do, is to have sort of a final assignment for your kids. You can do it. It's going to be hard to do from a standpoint of how do you give it? How does it look like a test? That kind of thing. All right. I also want to just say, we're starting to get a lot of more kids asking questions about the grading system and about the P versus W and T4 and all these different things. And some teachers are starting to be put in some sticky situations. I just want to continue to say what I've said to you all along. You don't have to lie to them. If they ask you a question directly and you want to tell them the truth, tell them the truth. And then encourage them to stay engaged and keep learning. There are some kids that are figuring out it's not much to their advantage to keep going from a grade standpoint. It's obviously to their advantage from a learning standpoint, but convincing of that without having face-to-face contact is going to be challenging. Try to encourage them if it is to their advantage to keep going, but if they're just not working and they're asking you questions directly, it's time. You be honest with them. We don't have to keep, we don't have to try to keep lying to the students to keep them involved. We want them to stay involved, but it's getting harder and harder and harder. And looking at our numbers each week, they're coming down slowly but surely. We still had about last week. We had. I'm looking at the numbers. 74% of our kids who did an assignment and got feedback on it. So that's still good, and it's a lot better than some of the other schools in the district. So I'm proud of that. But the number has come down from around 90% that first week that we're signing on. All right. Senior events, just want to talk about a few of those things. Cap and gown pass out. A lot of you asked, do we need any more help? We really don't. We're going to try to run that very efficiently. We're going to try to bring 200 kids through in a couple hours. It's going to be challenging. So just bear with us. We don't really need a lot of help on that event. We've got everybody we need to help with that. And we're trying to keep everything safe too. We are still in phase 1, so we just don't want to get too crazy with that also. So, but we got yearbook pass out coming on the 27th. You can help us with that advertising. Ms. Kaiser, I don't know how much help she's going to need on that. She'll let you know. The big one coming up, though, is going to be what's called the Last Ride. You'll be getting a lot more information about it. It's during senior weeks, the first week of, I think we're doing that first week of June. Let me check my calendar real quick and see if I can get that date for you real quick. The Last Ride, right now we are planning that at 8:30 on June 2nd. So 8:30 on June 2nd. That's when we'd really like everybody to come out. We'll use appropriate social distancing if you come. We really want to line the route that students will follow, seniors will follow through the campus with our families and with our teachers, saying congratulations and clapping for them. It's going to be a very emotional event, I think. So mark your calendars. Again, 8:30 at night. We're going to do it so we can turn the lights on all the fields and everything. 8:30 at night on Tuesday, June 2nd, the Last Ride. Wait for more details, but just be planning to make signs and just get out there and really hype that event. We think it'll last about 30 to 45 minutes to do the whole thing. Maybe an hour at the most. All right, so keep that one on your calendar. All right, tracking participation will be exactly the same week. This week, it'll be the number of students who do an assignment and get feedback from you, and we'll send that form out with this email. It'll be exactly the same form. You'll just fill it out, and we'll get those results from you. All right, let's see. T4 changes related to BUN. Don't forget about that. Tech Wednesdays also this Wednesday from 9 to 11. They'll pull up at the Media Center rather than the front because the front will be gummed up with seniors. And I think that's all I've really got to say to you right now. I think I've gone over everything. Miss you so much. Sorry to be a little long today, but I want to try to get that grade improvement system out there to you very clearly so you understand it and you can explain it to your students. Obviously, when PowerSchool gets updated and it comes up and you start putting grades in, students will see it that way also and be able to gauge how things are going for them. All right, I'm available if you need me. Call me, 704-877-9882. I've given that number to just about everybody, so if somebody else is watching this and gets it, they'll have my cell phone too. That's fine. I'm here for you, Jacket Nation, if you need me. Have a great day, everybody.